Welcome everyone, it's Gray Shirt Guy, Rock the Gray Shirt. As always, is the 3rd of March, and I figured I'd give you a quick little update. I am officially retired. I did just over 20 years in the Air Force, and yeah, so figured I'd let you guys know I retired as of this past Sunday. Got my retirement ID last week, got my DD-214 this week, so we're all good to go there. If you have any questions about the military, the Air Force, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If I don't answer them, it's either I don't know, I don't have enough information to talk about it, or I'm not allowed to talk about it, or I just don't want to talk about it. So you can ask. It's ask me anything. That doesn't mean I'm going to answer anything. But so I was a precision measurement equipment laboratory. That was my job. So PMAL. And what PMAL does is we calibrate TMDE, which is test measurement diagnostic equipment. And so we are the support of the support. We're the back shop for the back shop. We are tied in with maintenance, but we do a lot of stuff that's not maintenance. Like we work with CE, we work with we used to do medical equipment, but then they got their own fancy little thing. We still do some medical equipment, but not a lot. Yeah, we had a branch. We used to do medical equipment, and then that branched off into biomed, but that's a different story. So we essentially the maintainers they work on the aircraft or whatever. They work on the aircraft, the fuel, the munitions, all that stuff. They take that equipment, they bring that equipment into us. We make sure that equipment's working, we fix it, we repair it if we have to, then we give it back to them, then they go off and do the fancy stuff with it. So yeah, we're support of the support. And so I had a lot of fun in my career field, and I enjoyed it, but I felt that it was my time to go, and so when I hit 19, and I was like, oh, I can retire, and my wife likes it here, and if you like where you're at and you have the ability to retire, hit the button, and then figure it out from there. But yeah, so a little short thing. I was a technician for a while, which means I was on the bench. I was calibrating equipment, so I was a technician for a while. I did programs management. I did unit deployment manager work, where programs management is like supply and like different stuff that you need to do to keep the flight running so the technicians can do their job. So some units have a programs manager, some units divvy the programs out. They spread the programs out to a bunch of different people. I was a programs management. I was at a location where it was all handled by one or two people. And so I did that for a while. I've done shipping, I've done scheduling, I've done production control, which is like customer service. I've been a section chief several times, which is I was a section supervisor, which is like the flight is divided into sections, and so you're a supervisor of one of those sections. A section chief, you're in charge of all of those sections. I was a flight chief for a little bit, for a short period of time, which is where you're in charge of the entire flight. The majority of my time not on the bench, I was a quality manager. And so quality is where we watch the technicians do the work, and then we evaluate how well they did the work, if they made any non-conformities, if they made any problems, and we do a root cause analysis to figure out how to prevent those issues from happening again. And then we'll evaluate their work while we're watching them, or we'll evaluate their work after they finish it. And so that's one of the things that QA does. We also go around and just do spot inspections, making sure like documentation's updated, hazmat's correct, all this stuff is done. In maintenance, typically in Air Force maintenance, there is a giant QA section, and those guys go around to all of the flight line folks, and they do QA for the flight line. In PMAL itself, within the calibration flight, we have our own in-house QA, because we handle so many different things in our flight, in our laboratory, that we have to maintain QA constantly, because we have so many things we touch. But yeah, so I did a lot of QA, and then the last two things I was doing was contract oversight, which is basically it's the same thing. I was doing QA, but I was doing QA for contractors. So instead of watching military people do the job, I was watching contractors do the job. And because the military pays the contractors to do a certain amount of work, And then our job was to just periodically go there and make sure that they're doing what the contract says. And contract oversight, that's what I was doing. But it was basically the same stuff. I filled out a few different forms. There's an interesting world between watching military technicians in like a military setting and watching civilian technicians, because they do the same work, but they're evaluated a little bit differently. Not a nonconformity is a nonconformity no matter how anybody does it. So if a civilian technician or a contract technician does something wrong, they're handled pretty much the same as a military technician would, but the response to that is different. Like a military technician, it can be corrected a certain way, where a civilian technician would be corrected a different way. And like there's not, if you're not in the career field, there's no need for you to know the like nuances of that. So I won't go any further into that. But so I did that for a while, and then I did enterprise service management, which was what the last thing I did, where instead of going and inspecting the contracts, I was on the other side where I was helping the contractors do everything else. And that is a very niche of a niche job, and there's not anything glamorous about that part of the job. It's an important job. It needs to be done. It's only done by a handful of people that do that part, where they manage the contracts. But I was not a contract manager. I was just assisting the contract managers in managing the contracts. So I was never a contract officer. I never did any of that. Contracting is an interesting job. It's an interesting thing, and it might be something that I want to pursue after I'm done with my degree. Maybe, well, there are ways I can get into the contracting world, but I would be like, honestly, at this point in my life, I done my 20 years, and I had a successful, very fulfilling career. And after I finished my degree, I am mostly just looking for something that's just gonna, I like hanging out with my wife. I like being at home. I like spending time with my dog and my cat. And like, obviously I like spending time with my wife. And so, the ultimate, like the short-term goal is to finish my degree and then, find a job. My medium-term goal is to pay off my house in like 10, 15 years. And so so that's the goal. But anyways, as far as like a second career, if it materializes and I'm happy, awesome. If it ends up just being a job, that's also fine. Like I don't mind doing a job. I don't mind going somewhere and doing work and receiving a paycheck, and then just going home and putting that paycheck towards paying my mortgage off faster. I'm fine with that. Yeah. So I need to finish my second book. I need to publish my second book. I've outlined it. I need to work on it. I have a million Warhammer model, not a million. I have several thousand Warhammer models that I need painting. And I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft the last couple of weeks because the new expansion kit dropped. So I got that. I'm only doing one character for this expansion. I do have an alt that I might level when we get some time walking events in the next couple months, because there's a big lull between the next couple time walking events. But I'm just working on leveling and playing the paladin, and then so that's what I've been up to. And I painted some Sisters of Battle. I need to finish them, and I have Praetorian Guard waiting. But I figured keep you guys updated, and just to let you know, recording this video took like 40 tries, and my battery on my phone is pretty low, so I think this is going to be it. So if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to ask them. I'll answer them if I can, or if I feel like I should. I don't really know about what's going on right now. I'm just seeing the same things you're seeing. Because I'm a retired service member, I don't want to open myself up to saying the wrong things, giving like uninformed opinions. So I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to be on, I'm going to tell you what I know to the best of my ability. I probably, and, I'm a little autistic, so I don't really have a lot of opinions if they're not facts based. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys around. Goodbye.